I want to start off, as always, by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to the Akim pushing this word in all sincerity and our truth. Peace and blessings to the elect, starting with the 144,000, and also to the large multitude of men, women, and children whom the Lord has foreordained to receive mercy in these last days. This lesson is going into, of course, one of the hot topics right now. Unless you've been living under a rock for the past, several days, you should know, that the Middle East is about to go to serious war. As we see here from this tweet we have up on screen, Iran, has responded to an attack by Israel on one of their embassies, one of their consulates in Syria, where multiple high-ranking, Iranian officials were killed. Iran has responded with drone and missile strikes, into Israel, and Israel, of course, has said that, they will retaliate. So as the tweet said, Israel announced today that it will retaliate against Iran, and Channel 11 reported that Israeli fighter jets are ready. Iran has announced that if Israel attacks them, Iran will retaliate again with a much larger number of ballistic missiles. After this, Israel will probably retaliate again if they don't find a diplomatic solution, which we doubt they will, and they will officially go to war. So this is something that, is prophesied in the scriptures. It's something that we are expecting. We've been prophesying about this, for years, starting with the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, but we know that, full-fledged, World War III will not, kick off until, the MOTB, which is the mark of the beast, the microchip, is fully implemented. So we expect, to see even, more news about that popping off, even more developments about the MOTB popping off, as we see, regional conflict in the Middle East, continually rise, But let's get into it. Let's get into some prophecies, and hopefully this lesson, is edifying, through the Spirit. We're going to start off here in Revelation chapter 11 and verse 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And we know that the third woe, is speaking about World War III. The first woe was World War I, from 1914 to 1918. The second woe is World War II from 1939 to 1945. And after the war of 1945, a new global agenda was set up. NATO was founded. The Bretton Woods Agreement, were signed very soon after. The UN Charter was signed very soon after as well. And a new global order was defined. With America and the allies at the forefront. And now we see, this third war being kicked off, and we know that it's going to kick off in the Middle East. We know who is going to be the primary aggressor to pull, America, which is Mr. Babylon the Great, into this war, right? If we jump here to Jeremiah 49, verse 20, it says, "Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, that he hath taken against Edom," which the Edomites are, the so-called, white people, the Caucasian man, which we know some of our people are scattered among them. Not all people who look like that, are maybe from from Edom, but we know that Edom are in power right now. As the scripture says, Edom will be Esau will be the end of the world. We know who are in authority right now. It's the Edomite nations that are in authority right now, that are the most powerful and wealthiest nations right now, right? It says, "Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord, that he has taken against Edom, and his purposes that he has purposed against the inhabitants of Teman," which Teman represented their wisdom. It was a city, that where most of the wise and powerful men, dwelt. It says, "Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them." Right? The least of the flock, we know here, is speaking about who? Speaking about the Amalekites, right? This which we identify, through the Spirit, as the state of Israel that exists right now, right? It says the earth is moved, right, at the noise of their fall, and the cry, the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. And we're going to show why it specifically, points out, the Red Sea right here, right? Because right now, like, this tweet says that Israel has announced today that it will retaliate against Iran, right? Meanwhile, America has convened, the G7 nation together, the Security Council together, and pretty much every one of them, are encouraging Israel to exercise restraint, and to not, go to a war with Iran, right? Let me see if I can get that. Israel, Iran, right, in the news, right? Yep. So Israel latest. Western allies call on Israel to avoid escalation, right? So the Western allies, especially America, which is the number one ally, of the Israeli state, that's down there now, is calling for restraint, and they're saying if you decide, to attack Iran directly, we will not be a part of that attack. We will help you defend, but we will not be a part, of the attack to attack the Iranian regime, But as we know, they even though they say that, on the other hand, they say, we 100% back, the Israeli state. So we know that ultimately, Netanyahu and his fiery temperament is going to pull the U.S. and the world itself into a war, right? And it says the earth is moved at the noise of their fall, and the cry thereof was heard in the Red Sea. And we're going to show why that is, right? This is Joel 2:20. It says, but I will remove far from you the northern army, right? Which we know is talking about the American army, right? Because America is in the north of the Americas, right? The U.S. is in the north of the Americas. So this is talking about the U.S. army. I will remove far from you the northern army. And why is it far from who? The Israelites, because a lot of the Israelites, dwell in the Americas, especially in the United States. A lot of Israelites were carried there, through the transatlantic slave trade, So it says, and I will drive them into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea, and his sting shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he has done great things. Now, if you pull up a map of the Middle East, right, it says his face toward the east sea, right, which if you know your cardinal points, east is toward Iran, right? East is toward Iran. So the East Sea is talking about the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. And the utmost sea is speaking about the Red Sea, which is behind them. And it says his face is going to be toward the East Sea, meaning pointing towards Iran. And that land barren and desolate is speaking about what? Saudi Arabia, right? And Jordan, because there's a lot of American naval and military bases here in this region. If you look up a map of American bases in this region, you can see here, right throughout Saudi Arabia, and the surrounding lands, there's a lot of U.S. military air bases, naval bases, military bases, right here in this region, and a lot of troops are going to be deployed here, when this war kicks off, fully, and officially, right? So let's get back to the scripture. It says, I will remove far from you the northern army, and will drive them into a land barren and desolate. And we show that that's Saudi Arabia, which is faced toward the East Sea, which is the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, right? And it's in the part toward the utmost sea, which is the Red Sea, right? So its face is gonna be toward Iran, right? So here are the military bases, and they're gonna be faced toward Iran, right? So going back, it says, and his sting shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he has done great things. Meaning, they are gonna die. They are gonna go over there to the Middle East, and they're gonna die, right? This Joel 3 and verse 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. And that valley of Jehoshaphat is over there in the Middle East. So that's going to be the center of the conflict in this third woe, right? Because Russia has pledged their support, for Iran, and we know China is in agreement with Russia. So if this conflict, escalates to a nuclear war, which Israel is actually considering that, using strategic nukes, against Iran. If it reaches to that nuclear level, best believe Russia is gonna get involved, China is gonna get involved, and so too will other Western nuclear powers like America, primarily America. Right? Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come you and get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Yeah, this is the Lord's judgment, yo. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun and moon shall be darkened. We're speaking about what? This is speaking about us, two things. It's speaking about the solar and lunar eclipses that take place, and the stars that shall withdraw their shining. Because when the missiles are shut off, they're gonna be so much that they block out things, yo. Right? It's gonna be blocking out the heavens, yo, especially with the smoke coming up, and the nuclear fallout, over the cities, The Lord also shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But the Lord will be the hope of his people, right? And the strength of the children of Israel. So shall ye know that I am the Lord your God, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountains. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no strangers pass through her anymore. That's in the kingdom. The Lord is going to purify the land of Israel and put his rightful people in that land, right? And strangers will no more take ownership of it to say it's theirs, right? So we're looking forward to that. This is Isaiah 42, verse 13. The Lord shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yea, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies. Because the Lord is the one who's stirring up this war, yo. Right? The Lord is the one who is moving, these kings, to fulfill his prophecies. This is Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will, right? And let's get an example of that, where the angels, work on the minds of kings, yo, right? This is Daniel chapter 10 and verse 13, and this is an angel speaking unto Daniel. Matter of fact, let me start from verse 10. It says, and behold, an hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright. For unto thee am I now sent. And when he hath spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Then said he unto me, fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. So the angels, regularly intervene in global geopolitical affairs in order to direct the course of prophecy, right? So scripture say, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, right? That's through the angels. So we know the Lord is the one who's stirring up jealousy, as the scripture said, like a man of war. Pulling kings in the direction that they need to go. The Lord is the one who's hardened the heart of Netanyahu to be hell-bent on war. Even though nations are calling for restraint, they too will be pulled into this war, will be dragged into this war. As the scripture said, the least of the flock shall draw them out. That draw means it's violently drag them. You're dragging them into that war, reluctantly going in, right? Russia will be ultimately dragged in. The scripture speaks about putting hooks into their jaws and pulling him. And Iran is going to be one of those nations, Persia is one of those nations that Russia is going to be standing guard for, right? Let's move on. This is Matthew 24, verse 6. This is Yahushua speaking, right? It says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, right? Are we not hearing about this now? Right? It says, see that ye be not troubled, so we shouldn't be worried about these things, right? We should know that this means that the prophecy is coming. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet, right? Because we know the MOTB is not yet implemented. We know famine and civil unrest is about to come, For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines, pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So we know these things are coming, yo. And as these things come, there's a certain mindset that we have to be in, right? And we're going to end it here with that mindset that we have to be in, seeing these things popping off, seeing these prophecies being fulfilled, jumping off the page, you know. 2 Ezra 16 and verse 37, it says, behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son within 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. So once this thing pops off the real way, it's gonna be a downhill slide, or a slippery slide, right? It's gonna be just one thing after the other, a domino effect. Once that first domino falls, that's it, Things are gonna move at a rapid pace, right? He that selleth, motherfucker, I missed verse 40. Oh, my people, hear my word, make you ready to the battle. And in those evils, right, which the scripture speaks about as time of Jacob's trouble, be even as what pilgrims on the earth, meaning we have no dog in the fight. Let them do all that they're doing against each other. The Lord Yahushua is going to come, and deliver the elect, and ultimately put an end, to these nations, He that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that shall lose. So though we're involved in the world, we may have businesses, we have jobs, we have homes, we have relationships and all that things. We should have, one foot in and one foot out, knowing that all these things are about to come to pass, knowing that all these things are about to stop existing. He that selleth, let him that, read that already, verse 42, he that occupieth merchandise, have a business, as he that shall not profit by it. He that buildeth, building a home, as he that shall not dwell therein. He that soweth, as if he should not reap, right? So also he that planteth the vineyard, as he that shall not gather the grapes. Yeah. They that marry, as though they get no children. They that marry not, as the widow was, right? And therefore they that labor in vain, right? So hopefully, this lesson was edifying. Until next time, shalom.